Cardano's ecosystem continues to expand, with the largest marketplace in the ecosystem, JPG.store, adding support for lending and borrowing. We've also got the Book.io team, which is now expanded to Stuff.io, which adds support for music and video, putting all the power back over into creators' hands. We've also got the development of the first ever permissionless runes-based DEX being developed and deployed by the Fluid Tokens teams, which originates from Cardano. If that's not bullish, I don't know what is. As a part of today's video, I want to dive into the latest updates when it comes to Cardano. What's up, Beta Nation? Welcome to Dapp Central, your home for everything blockchain and crypto. My name's Fareed. As a part of today's video, we're talking about the latest updates and developments in the Cardano ecosystem. First things first, we've got JPG.store, the biggest NFT marketplace in the ecosystem, expanding their horizons, adding the ability to lend and borrow. Second, we've got updates when it comes to Fluid Tokens, launching the first ever permissionless DEX, right, for runes on the Bitcoin network. Third, we've got Stuff.io, which has officially launched with their first ever NFT mint for their white paper. I want to break down exactly how this differs from Book.io and when their next upcoming mint is. Last but not least, we've got Angel Finance adopting Levvy Finance, which was left by the Ape Society as they exited the Cardano ecosystem in new hopes in the based network. That said, if it's your first time stopping by, my goal is to help you here in the Cardano ecosystem, providing the latest news, the latest updates, as well as interviews and tutorials for all the biggest projects here in the ecosystem. If you appreciate content like this and you want more of it, make sure to smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, then leave a comment down below. I am also a single stake pool operator, so if you'd like to show your support in terms of helping to get this content out to the masses, consider delegating with the official Dapp Central stake pool, which is stake pool ticker DAPP. Right now, I've partnered up with 3 separate teams or 3 separate projects in order to provide my community or delegators to the Dapp Central stake pool with additional token rewards at no additional cost. So right now, you'll be able to earn and retrieve your traditional ADA rewards as you see fit. In addition, you'll be earning the Tokyo token, a brand new wallet here on Cardano. You'll also be earning the Matera token, which is for decentralized indexes here on the network. And then last but not least, you'll be earning the Sarah utility token, and they're a DeFi profit sharing hub building here on Cardano as well. I'll provide more updates about how you can actually claim these assets as the ISPOs conclude. Moving into the first topic here for today's video, I do want to briefly talk a little bit about JPG.store. Now, this is arguably the biggest NFT marketplace here in the ecosystem. For transparency, we do also have other platforms. For example, I think we've got, I want to say, WayUp.io. We've got Plutus.art. And then there's also DropSpot, which has been developed by Guido and MagicFlow, who are actually contributing to the Tokyo wallet here as well. So while we do have a pretty wide range of NFT marketplaces, JPG.store does dominate with, I believe, over 95% of the transactions taking place on that particular platform. Now, initially, they started off as a platform where you could only buy and sell NFTs. They then upgraded, adding the ability to also put in offers. They then also upgraded as well to allow for you to mint and sell your NFTs directly on the platform. So they've really upgraded their brand as time has gone on. And the latest thing that they've done is gone ahead and added support for lending and borrowing. So that said, let's take a quick look here. The first that we have is a new feature labeled as offer pools. So you can now go ahead and provide ADA into what they call an offer pool, where the ADA isn't necessarily locked up, but as an offer is accepted, the ADA that's locked up in the pool or the ADA that's available in the pool is actually used in order to complete that purchase. So in an ideal scenario, think of a case where I maybe am interested in 4 or 5 different NFTs, and I want to go ahead and put up an offer on all of them, right? Now, depending on whichever seller bites first, that's where my ADA will be allocated to. So it states here, number 1, you'll be able to deposit your funds, where again, you can transfer your ADA from your wallet into a quote unquote offer pool. Number 2, you'll be able to make unlimited offers without adding any liquidity. So instead of locking up your ADA, which right now is how you have to basically do offers, they've sort of expanded this to be a little bit more liquid, if that makes sense. Now, it states here, last but not least, as offers get accepted, the ADA is used from the offer pool. Now, one thing I really love about this is the fact that you'll still be earning your traditional ADA staking rewards. So even though the ADA is no longer available for you to spend, it's basically in the offer pool, you still have access to the rewards that it generates by staking to a stake pool. So that's the first piece there, upgrades surrounding their offers in the introduction of offer pools. Next, we've got the ability now to go ahead and borrow. So what this allows for you to do is tap into the value of the NFTs that you currently have without necessarily having to sell them on the open market. So it states here, unlock instant ADA with your NFTs, where you can now find an offer, and for a suitable amount, you can actually put down your NFT as collateral. Now, once you repay the loan plus interest, you'll then be able to recoup your NFT, or if you default, which means that you don't pay back the loan and the interest, the owner or the person who lent you the initial ADA can actually go ahead and keep the NFT. So do keep that in mind. This is going to operate very similarly to Fluid tokens, Levvy Finance, or even something like Lending Pond, where again, you take your NFT, you borrow against it, and when you pay back the loan with interest, you can regain or get your NFT back. So that's the second piece. The third piece is lending with JPG.store. So think of this as the other side of the equation, where you already have ADA and you want to go ahead and earn interest, or you want to earn an NFT in the event that if you loan out your ADA, that somebody who borrows it doesn't pay the ADA back, you can then keep their NFT. So it states here, get your full original loan amount back plus interest if, again, the borrower pays everything back, or you can receive the NFT that was used as collateral for the loan. So the fact that JPEG is already sort of the go-to place in terms of marketplaces, and they're now adding these additional features to be competitive with other platforms that do a very similar thing, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how this pans out. Will people begin to move their liquidity or their assets from other protocols to put that directly into JPG.store, given the volume and the daily traffic that they're able to generate? Let me know what you guys think down below. Next, we've got the fact that the lending and the borrowing will only be available for a certain set of NFTs, which right now it's just 20 collections, but I could imagine that as time goes on, they'll be opening this up to more and more people. Now, I'm not going to list all of them here, but we do have book.io. I'll be talking a little bit more about them in just a minute. We've got the Orcfax NFTs, the Omen NFT, Orimobs, Sneckies. We've got the Ape Society, the Goofy Gophers, Jelly Cubes. I mean, these are all pretty big names here. A lot of NFT collections that I've personally seen that have contributed here to the growing Cardano ecosystem. So go ahead and take advantage of this. And there is also a help page or a documentation page that breaks down everything as it pertains to lending and borrowing. So if you do have questions, make sure to go ahead and check that out there on the official JPEG website. Last but not least, you do have the ability to manage all of your loans now directly from your profile page. Previously, that's where you're able to manage your existing offers. That was when offers was only a one-to-one ratio or a one-to-one relationship. Now that you have the offer pools and you can now go ahead and provide offers for multiple assets with the same amount of ADA, not only can you manage that on your profile, but you can also manage any loans that might be active or that you may have borrowed. So I believe that'll be it there surrounding JPG.store. In closing, I do want to quickly highlight the top 5 volume NFTs, or the NFTs that have generated the most volume in the last week. And coming in number 1, again, we've got Sneckies. Number 2, the Cornucopious Land. And that's because their land grab or their land rush will be taking place anytime within the next month to 2 months. So this was totally expected there from the Cornucopious game. Third, we've got the Ape Society, which of course is left. Fourth, we've got the Gutenberg Bible. And this is no coincidence here as well. They had a new mint for their stuff.io platform. And we've seen a lot of people getting discounts by holding the Gutenberg Bible, therefore providing buy pressure for that particular NFT collection. Last but not least, we've got the Mogi Cat, which I'm not familiar with at all. Appears to be some sort of meme type of NFT. That'll do it there for updates surrounding JPG.store. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. If you did, again, please make sure to smash that thumbs up. It really does go a long way here. And of course, if you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions, then leave a comment down below. Second, we've got updates surrounding Fluid tokens. Now, before we talk about their first ever runes DEX on Bitcoin, which is fully permissionless, I want to highlight the fact that Bitcoin now has native assets. So just like Cardano, right, where we have ADA as the governing token for the ecosystem, we also have Cardano native assets. Now, some of those are fungible tokens or fungible assets, meaning that out of all of the assets that are minted on chain, there is no difference between all of the assets. We also have NFTs, where out of all of the assets that are minted on chain with that policy ID, each one of them does differ. So again, we've got the base token or the base asset, which on Cardano's ADA, followed by fungible tokens and non-fungible tokens or NFTs. Very similarly, on Bitcoin, we now have the same ability where BTC or SATS is basically what's used for transacting on the Bitcoin network. But now, in addition to that, they've brought on ordinals, which represent NFTs, just like on Cardano. And they've also introduced the Runes protocol, which basically replicates or mimics fungible tokens on Cardano. What's crazy is that they basically have used a lot of the technology and the ideas when it comes to how Cardano native assets are implemented here in Cardano. They've just applied that to Bitcoin. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's talk a little bit more about fluid tokens. So it states here, we were tired of hearing about runes being the next big thing with nothing to show. Therefore, they've introduced the first ever fluid DEX, the permissionless or a permissionless decentralized exchange on Bitcoin. The link to it is down below. I'll probably have a separate video diving a little bit deeper into this. But again, this is taking advantage of runes, which again are the fungible tokens, which are now available on Bitcoin. Now, what they're going to be doing is based off of all of the trading fees that occur on the official DEX on Bitcoin, they're going to be keeping a piece of the profit. What they're going to be doing with that is rewarding that Bitcoin over into the FLDT token holders in the Cardano ecosystem. So do keep that in mind. They have their own lending and borrowing platform already live on Cardano. This is just an expansion into a newer ecosystem. And as a result of the trading fees, they'll be rewarding FLDT token holders on Cardano with those rewards coming in from Bitcoin. So with that, it states here that our new decentralized exchange on Bitcoin or the Fluid DEX is now earning transaction fees in BTC. Soon, you'll be able to decide how you want these to be distributed into the community's hands. Now, if I jump over here, we've got two separate options. Number one is where holders would receive wrapped Bitcoin directly on their Cardano wallet. Now, keep in mind, we've got protocols like Aneta BTC. We've also got the Rosen Bridge, as well as the Wanchain Bridge, where you could then theoretically move that back over to the Bitcoin ecosystem or quote unquote unwrap it and actually hold Bitcoin on the Bitcoin network. Second, or the second option, would be to have holders set up a Bitcoin wallet in order to receive native BTC on the Bitcoin network. So again, this is a pretty big decision here as to whether or not people want to receive wrapped assets. Keep in mind, unwrapping not only poses a risk to phishing, scamming, etc., because you actually have to move to a separate chain, but there's also going to be fees involved with that. Whereas receiving BTC directly on the Bitcoin network, while you may have to create a new wallet, which might be overhead initially, you don't have to worry about swapping or sending the BTC anywhere else once you receive that. So for me, the choice would definitely be option number two. But if you do hold the FLDT token, make sure to go ahead and have your voice heard by voting as to what you think is the best option for you. Okay, next, we've got updates surrounding stuff.io. I've had Joshua Stone on the channel here, and I actually just met with Ben Illian, co-founder of book.io as well, not too long ago in Austin, which just hosted Consensus 2024. Now, they've already released book.io. It's a platform for owning and reselling digital books using their DEA model or their digitally encrypted assets model, meaning that when you purchase a book from book.io, you actually own that book. Again, in the traditional sense or in the traditional model right now, a lot of times when you purchase digital items, while you do get some sort of ownership, you don't actually have the license to that book or to that literature, right? So do keep that in mind. With book.io, they sort of changed the model, allowing for people to still have value in their assets and be able to resell their assets as they deem fit in the future. So with book.io, that was a really innovative idea. It's taken literally the community by storm. We've seen the team not only deploying and minting on Cardano, they've also begun minting on Polygon and on Ethereum. And they're now going to be expanding into Base with the release of stuff.io. So this is basically now going to be incorporating not only books, but also music as well as video content. So any sort of mediums that creators can use will now be supported using the same DEA model, right? Which basically is just a copy and paste, but just for a different type of content. So it states here, stuff.io, where you can own your stuff, decentralized digital media that you actually own. They've just released the white paper, and this is now available on the official book.io medium. And I just want to quickly highlight a few pieces. Of course, again, this is extremely long, extremely detailed. I recommend you go and check it out on your own. But for the sake of time here, I do want to quickly highlight some of the bigger pieces here to hopefully allow for the dots to connect. So they start off here with the problem, again, where they highlight the lack of true ownership in the current models where you purchase books, for example, on Kindle, etc. You don't actually own that asset. Even though you've paid for it, you've just paid for a licensed version of that content, right? So if the publisher wants to come along at any time, they could basically pull your access to what you technically have paid for. Again, with book.io's model, that is no longer the case. They also talk about restrictions on use. They talk about the vulnerabilities to change, as well as privacy and controls. Now, moving over to the solution, which of course is stuff.io and their DEA model, they'll be providing or driving mass market adoption, onboarding all types of creators, again, letting them truly own what they've created and also letting them resell, right, or package their content however they want. Second, there's going to be a simple and friendly onboarding process. Third, this will all be managed using real-world digital assets. There's also going to be benefits for creators. There's also going to be their verified digital origin, which allows for you to verify exactly where the original content was uploaded or created from, followed by their blockchain-based DRM. So this basically allows for you to decrypt and review, right, the content that you've purchased. And then last but not least, there's elements of SocialFi, as well as a multi-chain strategy that this team plans on implementing. Now, the last piece I want to break down here for this update is the 3 eras of media ownership. Number 1 was where we had physical media. And I remember this where you could purchase something, for example, like Adobe Photoshop on a CD, and that would come with a verification code that was just a one-time use to verify that you actually purchased that type of software. But as things evolve, we've now gone digital. So that's era number 2, where you can now purchase things with limited ownership rights. And then number 3, which is this brand new era that stuff.io will be ushering us into, we now have blockchain-based true ownership, where consumers own digital assets recorded on the blockchain, ensuring complete control and flexibility. Now, following the recent announcement of stuff.io, they will be going ahead and providing a bridge to move your tokens from Cardano to Base and all these other networks that they're going to be incorporating into. They are also going to be renaming the book.io token or the book token to the stuff token. And then there's going to be a couple of branding changes there as well. Now, keep in mind that the first ever mint for stuff.io has just occurred. It just took place yesterday. And that was actually for the white paper. Now, there was a deal. If you basically wanted to mint one of those, you could do so, but you could only mint 3. But they will be having an additional mint here, which will basically be very identical to their Gutenberg Bible, which minted for just a couple of hundred ADA, which is now valued at over, I think, 15 to 1600 ADA. So it's done multiples in terms of value. And that was a collection of 10,000. So it states here, tomorrow's launch, which will be taking place on June 13th, will be for the first video DEA, right? Which will also be the stuff.io Genesis asset. So this is basically comparable to the Gutenberg Bible when that was released for book.io. So make sure to go ahead and tune in for that. I'm definitely going to be going ahead and minting that. And I want to quickly show off here the stuff.io white paper, which actually minted yesterday, right? For, I want to say it was 99 ADA. So right now the floor is at 365 ADA, meaning that that was a quick or easy 3x. So again, I think there's going to be a lot more hype surrounding all of these different DEAs and assets being minted by stuff.io, especially the Genesis collection. So I'm going to be tuning in for that, and I'm definitely going to be picking up one of these as well. In terms of utility, the team has mentioned that the white paper right now does not have any announced utility, but I believe it will. Again, do with that as you wish. And then for the Genesis item, which will be here, the video about stuff.io, which I mentioned earlier, that will have utility. So do keep that in mind there as well. I think that'll do it there for updates surrounding stuff.io. Next and last, I want to briefly talk about Levvy Finance. So the Ape Society team officially walked out of Cardano about a month ago now. And as a part of that, they basically left Levvy Finance behind. That was a lending and borrowing platform, very similar to what JPG.store is now going to be doing, right, on Cardano. So it states here, now that Levvy has wings, which if you're not aware, Angel Finance, a lending and borrowing or DeFi protocol here on Cardano, has officially bought them out with Avatar Nick. They've now been working hard on improving the application. Their latest updates include reduced fees for NFT collections, right, where they used to be fees set at 1.5%. That's now been lowered to 1%. And then they've now also added support for royalties on all NFT projects. So as a project, if there's a lot of trading volume or a lot of trading back and forth happening with your asset on Levvy Finance, you can actually earn, right, by getting a portion of that trading volume happening on Levvy. Last but not least, they've also enabled some pro features for the entire community, including the ability to extend loans and no staking required, or with no additional staking required. So that'll be it there. Last but not least, we do have the team officially adding support for the Sneckies NFT, which I mentioned earlier is in the top 5 right now in terms of trading volume generation on the JPG.store marketplace. That will do it here for today's video. A pretty big update. Again, we've highlighted JPG.store, adding lending and borrowing. We've talked about the Fluid Tokens team building and launching and releasing the first ever permissionless rune DEX on Bitcoin. Quite an achievement if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, followed by stuff.io and their upcoming mints, as well as a brief review of their white paper. And then we've just wrapped up there by highlighting Angel Finance overtaking the Levvy Finance protocol from the Ape Society team. As always, if you guys found any portion of today's video to be helpful, I would really appreciate you if you could smash that thumbs up. If it's your first time stopping by and you want more content like this, consider subscribing. And last but not least, if you have any questions for me, then make sure to leave a comment down below. That said, and as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.